Good evening. We're going to start with the wind and rain hitting South Central tonight. We first alerted you to this storm system yesterday, and it's still going on tonight.
Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry is tracking the storm. Melissa, is the worst of it over?
Not quite. We're still going to see those high winds for a few more hours, and the rain's actually going to pick back up here in just a couple of hours. So still under that first alert weather day because of those impacts. The wind advisory itself continues through 10 p.m. for those wind gusts between 45 and 65 miles per hour. We've already seen winds at that level for the Anchorage hillside and seen those winds picking up in town. 31 mile per hour gusts along New Sword Highway and Huffman, 39 out near the airport. We can see those areas highlighted in orange and yellow. Those are the parts of town seeing the most extreme winds. I do expect that to shift a little bit further to the north and west as we head through tonight. And you can see some strong winds in Palmer as well at 47 miles per hour and 48 out in Portage. So again, those stronger winds are going to taper off overnight tonight. We'll hold on to breezy conditions tomorrow, but nothing as extreme as what we're seeing today. And then the second part of this storm is the heavy rain. Already another half of an inch of rain in Anchorage today. A bit of a break for the next couple of hours, but I do expect that to pick up around 8 o'clock tonight with that rain intensifying overnight. You can see also more than an inch in Talkeetna and closing in on 2 inches there in Portage. So one more round overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, but then the second half of Wednesday comes with dry conditions. That's true for all of South Central. That'll even continue into early Thursday before the next storm gets here on Thursday night. Temperature-wise, it's cool. We've been in the mid-50s. We'll stay in those low 50s overnight. Highs tomorrow getting a little bit warmer, back up close to that 60-degree mark once that rain clears for the second half of the day. And I'll have a closer look at that full extended forecast coming up here in just a few minutes.
We'll see you then. Thank you so much. And as those severe winds sweep across the hillside, Anchorage felt the impact.
Charlie Fellows is out there in the elements. We've been telling you about some big numbers, but here is what it looks like.
Yeah, Melissa, if you need any living proof of your forecast here up on the hillside, it's gusty here this evening. And if you don't trust the visual indicators, the grass, the leaves, what's on my head, you can trust a scientific instrument we've got here called an anemometer that Melissa Fry let me play around with today. Pretty simple how it works. Wind goes in here. It tells you how strong it is. And so far, the readings here, it's resting about an ambient 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts in the low to mid 20s in this particular area of the hillside that we're at right now. Rain spitting as well. And of course, that doesn't get any easier with the rain blowing through. But as you heard just now, that wind set to continue, especially up here.
Try to stay dry out there. Well, an early morning shooting in northeast Anchorage sent a man to the hospital. He has life-threatening injuries. Lauren Maxwell reports it happened near an elementary school.
This is a shooting that appears to have happened in the parking lot of Ptarmigan Elementary, which is the school that you see behind me. Police were called to the 800 block of Edward Street, where the elementary school is located, shortly after 4 a.m. on Tuesday, where they found a man with a gunshot wound to his upper body. Many hours later, officers were still on scene, combing the area for evidence, and at one point towing away a car that had been parked in the lot leading up to the school. The Anchorage School District says the shooting was not related to the school in any way, and that the few staff members who were inside the building Tuesday morning were safe. The district says it is cooperating with police in the investigation. Now, at this point, police tell us they have not made any arrests. However, they're asking anyone with information to please contact them. Lauren Maxwell, Alaska's news source.
An Anchorage murder trial moved forward today in a case prosecutors say began with a $550 drug debt.
It centers on the death of Oscar Garcia, and a co-defendant has already been tried and convicted. Prosecutors say 48-year-old Oscar Garcia was found dead inside a car on Merrill Drive in November of 2019. The defendant, Rhadames Nino Marmolejos Jr., faces first and second-degree murder plus kidnapping charges. An APD detective testified he helped conduct 2 recorded interviews with Marmolejos in 2025. APD also walked jurors through summary exhibits and a chart of AT&T calls and text messages linked to Marmolejos' phone in the weeks leading up to Garcia's death.
Now, the co-defendant, Elijah Ramirez, was tried separately. That happened earlier this year. A jury found him guilty of second-degree murder while acquitting him of first-degree murder and kidnapping. Ramirez is set to be sentenced July 22nd. In Ramirez's trial, prosecutors said that phone data, surveillance video, and witness testimony placed him on the back seat of a red Kia Soul when Garcia was shot multiple times from behind. Defense attorneys challenged witness reliability and argued some physical evidence fit Marmolejos as the shooter.
Prosecutors are expected to continue calling witnesses this week. Testimony expected to run into next week. We'll keep following that story.
And in the final full week of the special session, our political reporter and maybe some of you got a flyer warning you that the LNG pipeline is at risk.
Well, Courtney breaks it all down, whether the project really is in trouble or is just political pressure.
If you're like me, you may have received this flyer in the mail recently. It says, "Don't let Juneau politicians kill Alaska's gas line." But is that actually what's being discussed in Juneau right now? The answer is no. It's this bill right here, HB 381. And what it does is it gives big property tax exemptions. Glenfarne, that's the private company developing the project, and Governor Mike Dunleavy say the cuts are needed to make the project possible. The lawmakers in the majority have had concerns, and some actually say they could start building today, so the bill has been changed to what we have today, which added new income taxes. That's actually where some of this poison pill language comes from in that flyer. It's what the governor and Republican lawmakers are calling the tax.
You know, some of the poison pills that were put in on the Senate side are going to be taken out. You get language for the gas line that can work, right?
These aren't poison pills. These are provisions that were added to protect Alaskans. This shouldn't just be about giving away our resources.
So the bill is in one last committee right now, which still hasn't been scheduled. Lawmakers have until Sunday to pass a plan before the end of the special session. Will Courtney, Alaska's news source.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, prices in urban Alaska are up over 3% from this time last year. Out of all categories, one of those increases was energy. The Bureau reported that gas has increased 42% as compared to this time last year. Food also increased about 2% from last year. However, the Bureau did see a decline for education and communication costs, down 2.6% from last year.
I didn't expect that performing this service was going to put me in the position of explaining to my children what a bulletproof vest was and why I had to wear one.
2 justices testified at Capitol Hill today about threats to federal judges.
This comes as U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson is prepared to appear at a Q&A at the University of Alaska Fairbanks tonight. We've got our Adrian Peterson live from the Davis Concert Hall where Jackson will be speaking. Adrian, what can you tell us?
Well, here at UAF, the presentation with Justice Jackson has sold out with over 900 people expected to attend. And earlier today in Washington, D.C., Justices Elena Kagan and Amy Coney Barrett spoke to Congress during a hearing, speaking and appearing to Congress for the first time since 2019. Now, testimony during that hearing, well, it focused on increasing security funding as judges across the country have faced an increase in violent threats this year. According to the U.S. Marshals, they've seen 564 threats to federal judges in the last year, including fake swatting calls targeted at Supreme Court justices and violent threats to family members. Now, Kagan also spoke about the increase in emergency appeals that is burdening the court, as well as differences between her and Amy Coney Barrett on ethics code enforcement. As for how things are going here tonight, we have tons of people coming in, and what Justice Jackson is going to be speaking about remains unclear, but she'll be taking the stage at 7 p.m. Adrian Peterson, Alaska's news source.
And of course, we're going to have an update on this tonight on the late edition. Also in Fairbanks, this summer the city launched a push to revitalize downtown this month. The mayor says that the campaign has been both success and challenging. Dozens of volunteers as ambassadors giving information to tourists and keeping an eye out for safety issues. A skate park constructed at the city's starter block has also seen consistent use. However, 6 nearby chalets built to house small businesses have been harder to fill.
They are open, and they have been open throughout the summer, Golden Days or a retail shop here or there. But without electricity, a lot of folks are limited. So once we get that electricity in there, we'll be ready to go.
O'Neill says overall the community has responded well to that project with little vandalism or abuse of the summer installations.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's News Source app.